in a conversation that Mark kicked off last week, which was awesome. It's titled, Before You Go. Before you go. This is kind of our moment to sit you down, like you might be going off to something new over the summer. You have summer plans. You might be traveling. You may be moving. Maybe some of you are going off to college or working a job after this. So before you go, here's some things to know before you go that we hope will help you out. So that's kind of the premise. So he said last week, before you go, you need to really make a relationship status check, okay? So before you get there, be sure to check that relationship with G-O-D, okay? So that's kind of part one. Part two is going to be this, and it's a question that I really want you guys to answer. But first, here's your title for tonight, if you're taking notes, and it's King Jesus. King Jesus. So do me a favor real quick. If you're taking notes on your phone, that's awesome. Do that. If you have your phone out but you're not taking notes, then put that away. If you have earbuds in, AirPods or anything, if you could just take those out, that would be phenomenal. And please make sure you don't talk to each other so that we can give you and your friend some information before they go. Cool? All right, so here's the question that I really want to know, and then we'll get to the question that really applies to you guys. But first off, who in this room knows how to play chess? Show your hand. Okay, cool. Okay, just a few. Just a few, all right? Kind of lower than the middle schoolers know how to play, so don't challenge them. So I'm like you. I don't know how to play chess. But was it our first Christmas as a married couple? Marissa was like, what do you want? What do you want for Christmas? And I was like, you know what I want? I want a fountain pen and a chessboard. I want a fountain pen and a chessboard. I don't know why. We don't have a library, okay? We don't have a mansion where if you pull the encyclopedia, the shelf opens up into the bat cave. Now, I would like a bat cave. That would be cool. But that is not the situation. We are not the Waynes family. All right, so I don't know why. I just like the idea. So, Josh, real quick, do you know how to play chess? No. I don't know how to play chess. I've wanted to learn. I've opened it up on my computer and just clicked spaces until they pop words on the screen that said you lose or checkmate. I'm like, I don't know what happened. I was like, right. So I'm like, what is going on? Because I know that the pawns can move one space. The knights can make an L shape or something. I think these little castle guys can go a straight line. And the king or the queen or both can do whatever it is they want to do. So chess is just a little difficult because they all do as moving pieces, right? But checkers, okay. Now checkers I can understand, right? Smoke before fire, black goes first. Let's go, right? I can crank out some checkers. I really like how Cracker Barrel does their whole checker situation with a little picnic basket blanket. Yeah, the whole dual purpose situation, and then the giant pieces, make little Reese cups. I love that. They fit perfectly together. And I know the rules because as we go to your side, I can only go one direction. As I go to your side, I'm going to hop and skip over your people and collect them in my little dungeon over here on the side of the table. But when I get to the end, I get to flip it over, and then I say, King me. I get checkers, but chess? It's going to be a no for me, dog. It's just too many pieces, too many different things. So let's kind of get to the basis of this. I don't mind board games. I don't mind board games. If you have 6 hours set aside to play them, I don't mind board games. But before we start playing any game, I need you to tell me the rules up front. So real quick, just raise your hand. Have you ever started playing a game where the person you're competing against either adds a rule or uses the, oh, I forgot to tell you kind of thing? Real quick, anyone ever change the rules up? Yeah, see, I can't handle all that. I can't. We got to know before. Somebody say before. Before we start, I need to understand what are we operating with. What are the rules of engagement? Because I have a goal in mind, to beat you. Right? So you can't just be adding stuff here along the way because then that's going to change my strategy. I already have my strategy made up, and I need to know in advance before. So one more time, say before. Before we start. So before you go, I need you to answer this question to kind of set your rules in place before you go. So here's your question, and this is what I want you to struggle with and challenge yourself with beginning tonight. And be honest with yourself for this question. Here it is. Who is your king? And be honest. Don't answer it out loud. Don't answer out loud, because chances are you won't say the real one out loud anyway. But before you go, answer that question and be honest. Who is your king? Now, it's a little different now, and you've studied this throughout history, like how government bodies are set up, and it's a little different. We have a president, not a king, right? And they have the Queen Elizabeth over there. She's been here like before the earth started, but I'm kidding. Shout out to her if she's watching. Mom, you got to check this out, right? They shouted you out in Fayetteville, North Carolina. But they have the whole monarchy situation. But here's essentially what a king would do back then. Like they had their territory, and if there was another imposing kingdom that wanted their territory, then they would come up and say, we're going to take over. But the king and his army would essentially protect their citizens and that territory. So as long as you were aligned with this king, you got that protection. And then along the way, you might have to pay some taxes, do some services, do some things, and it built out their kingdom and kind of their system and how they settle things. But it kind of all boils down to you had certain things when you were under that king. Now, if you were under a different king, you went by their rules and regulations. So in essence, the king is the governing body because it governs what you do with your body and the bodies around you. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I can't play chess. I'm just kidding. All right, so here's the real point of it. I don't want you to look at a chess piece the same again. Every time you think of or see a chess piece out from going forward, I want you to ask that question to yourself. Who is my king? Now, for some of you, you've been coming here for a while. You've grown up in church. You're like, oh, well, the answer's supposed to be Jesus, right? Jesus is my king. But be honest with yourself. Does your recent behavior or conversations or the last emoji that you use in a text message really identify Jesus as your king? Or perhaps was some of the disrespect that you showed to a person, a friend, family member, parent, maybe the conversation you had with a recent relationship, maybe the images that you shared in a recent relationship, would that identify and show that Jesus is your king? Or might the disrespect you showed to someone else really show that, no, Jesus wasn't your king? In that moment, you were your king because you got disrespected and you knew, oh, I gotta power up. Or because of the sexual relationship that you've had with someone else and keep having, you're like, I know Jesus said not to, but I'm drawn and have this strong desire and I want to have sex with whoever and however. And so Jesus isn't your king. Sex would be your king. So sometimes it's not a who, but it's a what is your king. And here's the crazy thing. You'll read throughout history, you've done this in some of your history classes, where they had like Greek mythology, where they had Zeus and all these other pagan gods that they would worship. And there's this god or goddess named Aphrodite, real god. Guess who she was? She was the god of sex. And some people still worship that same goddess. But instead we just label it sexuality. That's still a god that's worshiped today in various cultures, various ways. So be honest with yourself when you answer this question. Don't just like do it off the cuff. Like be truthful. Who is your king? Because that's your governing body, and it determines how you govern your body. And what comes to my mind when I read this, or think of this, is a passage that Jesus actually went through. And it's only like 4 verses long. You might remember this. Jesus got baptized, came up, just like Annabelle did earlier between songs. And I don't think that it was like our praise team. And they're like, all right, Jesus, come on in, cue the dove. Right? It wasn't that situation. But John the Baptist, his cousin, he baptized Jesus. And then Jesus comes out of the water and is drawn into the wilderness. He said, hey, I got to go out into the wilderness for 40 days, 40 nights by himself to be tested by Satan. Now, when you hear that name, you think of like a dude with a pitchfork and a red uniform, right, with a forked tail. All right, you think like got horns and everything. But Satan or Satan is really just a name or a phrase that means the opposer, the evil one. So it's really that time, you know how like you might be in a conversation with someone and they're saying, well, I believe this, this, and this, and that's why they did it. And then you say, well, let me just play devil's advocate. Right? Let me just kind of come against that with a different view. Not that I disagree with you, but have you considered, and you just bring in opposition. So Jesus goes out into the wilderness to encounter some opposition. And 3 of those are recorded. I just want to look at the second one for the sake of time, because I know I only have a little bit of time with you, okay? But before you go, if you would, turn or swipe over to Luke chapter 4, verse 5. And I just want to tell you a little bit of this passage where Satan tempts Jesus. So if you've ever felt like you've been tempted to do something you shouldn't, you're in good company, because Jesus was too. So let's see how he handled it. Verse 5 says this: the devil, the advocate, the enemy, the opposer, the devil led him up to a high place. Okay, so imagine that we walk out of this room, we go on a little field trip, we get on the roof of the church, and then we climb up to the top of the cross, and we each get a turn. You get 5 minutes up there, okay? All right, we're just pulling tickets, all right? 5 minutes to touch the top of the cross, right? And you get to hang up out there like King Kong looking at Fayetteville. Woo, man, I can see my house from here. So he's up in a high place, and he showed him in an instant. I love that. He showed him in an instant, just real quick. Just right there, immediately, right there at his fingertips. It's right there where he can see it. Instant. I don't know if that's where the Facebook creators got Instagram. Maybe they're reading this verse. I don't know. But in an instant, he showed him all the kingdoms of the world. So just real quick, in my mind, I'm just, man, he really got to see Chick-fil-A from, you know, that's a kingdom to me. If I owned a Chick-fil-A, whoo, I would drive by, not on Sunday, but Monday through Saturday at about lunchtime and just smile. And then I'd get my phone out when I'm stopped and the vehicle's in park and look at my bank account. Praise, right? That's a cool kingdom to have right there. All these kingdoms. So he's showing them all these kingdoms. I don't know if he saw like golden like rooftops and different palaces, but whatever you would think, like imagine what is a kingdom to you. A kingdom, a kingdom, a king that's encompassing an area. What would be some of the kingdoms that maybe the devil would want to show you to say, hey, that thing you've been really wanting? I know she said no to prom, but hey, if you ask her one more time, I'll make it happen for you. I'll be your hitch, right? I know you've been wanting that car. Here's that, all you got to do is take the bag from this guy, go to this location and drop off the bag, and you can have enough money for that car and then some. All you have to, it's legal in a lot of states now. All you have to do is take this, go into the bathroom during second period, and just wait there. And after school, I'll give you enough money for what you wanted. Here's a great way that you can answer the question, who is your king? All you have to do is fill in the blank. I would do anything for, and whatever that blank is, that's your king. So right now, Jesus is on top of CrossPointe Church, hanging on the cross, right, looking around. But no, he's on top, and he's in all these kingdoms. And for you, it could be anything. And for Jesus, he could see all these kingdoms. And check out verse 6. Here's what the devil follows up by saying, verse 6. I will give you all their authority. They'll be under your command. Those things that you admire, it will be under your control. And their splendor, like it's so shiny and glamorous. It has been given to me, which is I find very interesting that like these things have been given to Satan, but it's been given to me, and I can give it to anyone I want to. All you have to do, here's the kicker. All you have to do, if you worship me, it will all be yours. All you have to do. Now, when we read that, you might think it's a really good idea. It's a really good like bang for your buck because you're thinking, well, all I have to do is worship you. So worship, if I pass around a like sheet of paper and said, hey, write down the definition of worship, we might get a whole bunch of different answers, and on there we might see. So if I just sing a song to Satan, I get the authority and the splendor of all these kingdoms I've been admiring. If I just bow down one day a week between like 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning with my family, then I can get everything I've ever wanted. But the thing we have to realize is that when you use the term worship, it's more like you're saying, that is my king. So Satan is saying, you make me king. Put me in charge. And then this will be given to you. And here's why we want to let you know this before you go, is because it's very easy to go to a new place, a new school, a new environment, and see a bunch of new things and new people. And immediately we all have the same blank answer. And in those moments when you're in a new environment and you're kind of anxious and worried about it, you think to yourself, oh man, I would do anything to be accepted. So if that's the way they're talking, I can talk like that. Oh, we're not supposed to like them? I don't have to like them either. I don't even like his shoes. No. Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, right? I'll do anything to be accepted. And it's so easy whenever I don't have my mind made up before I get there, which is the answer to this passage. So the devil just showed Jesus all this stuff, and then he says, all you have to do is worship me. Now check out how Jesus responds. The next verse and our last verse. Jesus answered, it is written. Past tense, meaning it's already been written down and actually committed to memory. I am the word, right? Already been said, it has been written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. Jesus had his mind made up before he ever had opposition who his king was, who he would worship. So that was not ever a question when he got into opposition or a challenge and was asked or entertained with this idea of worshiping anyone else. Like, no. I've already known it to be written. I already know the word. I'm not going to worship anyone else. What's your next question? And I heard this recently, that no is very attractive. Have you ever noticed how attractive a no can be? Like at the first like 1 or 2 stages of your life, you're just trying to be accepted, so you say yes to anything. It's like, hey, a bunch of cool kids are, doing this with their hair, doing this with their shoes, right? If you ever look up what millennials dress like in high school and middle school, forgive us. Forgive us. It was tragic, right? But you would do anything to be accepted. So you'll say yes to a lot of stuff, yes to a lot of stuff. But imagine, and this may not happen to you just yet, but when you get older and you're like in a relationship and someone comes up to a friend of yours or maybe the person you're dating, whoever, and they offer them something that you really shouldn't be doing. You think like, I don't really want to be a part of this, and like, oh man. And they say, no thanks, it's a no for me. And they just keep walking. You're just like, dang, you just got like more attractive all of a sudden. And the reason they can say no is because they know the answer to their question before they ever got there. Like, I've already been accepted by who I want to be accepted by. I already know the answers to these decisions. I'm not going to entertain that notion, Satan, that you're going to try to give me all this stuff. And here's why this really hits home for me today. Because how many of you have ever heard of a college loan? A college loan, real quick. Maybe you're ready for some of those juniors. Scholarship, okay, do scholarship. So your boy didn't have a lot of scholarships and went to Chapel Hill, and apparently they don't give those diplomas out for free. Who knew? So I did the whole college loan thing. It's like, oh, yeah, give me all this money. Absolutely give me all this money. And so by the time my 4 years was up, they wanted me to pay it back. So I ain't even got a job like that, right? Like I'm starting at the bottom, and I ain't even here yet, right? So these loans have been going on for quite some time and all this good stuff. Well, a letter comes in the mail that says, hey, you might be eligible to consolidate your loan and maybe even be forgiven. And I was like, I've been hearing a lot of stuff in the news lately about forgiveness of loans. Sign me up, right? I'd love to be forgiven for sin, loans, and anything else that just sounds bad, right? So this person I'm speaking to on the other end of the phone says, yeah, here's what we're going to do. You qualify. I don't know if y'all knew this or not, but I qualify. Maybe you qualify too. I don't know, but I qualified. And they said, all right, here's what's going to happen. Here's the term of your new agreement that's going to come out. All right, so for this amount of months, and it equated to about 10 years, you need to pay $0. It's like, I see your 10, I'll raise you $20. I ain't going to pay you nothing. Okay, so 20 years, right? I ain't going to pay you nothing, right? So he's like, 10 years, pay $0, and at the end of that term of 10 years, your loans will be forgiven. Okay, dude, what's the punch to this whole situation? Right, I'm on the phone with Marissa, like texting her, they just told me my loans are forgiven. Right, praise God. He says, all you have to do, because it's income-based, and based off of your income, you have a lot more loans than you have incomes. Like, that's true. That is very true, sir. He said, all you have to do, right, this is kind of like the Satan. I'm not calling this man Satan, but all you have to do, just like Satan said, show that you have a proof of income for this allotted time, like that you are making money, which I don't understand why I got to show proof of income when I'm not paying anyone anything. Interesting to me. And pay us $800. Well, if I pay you $800, sir, how do I know that at the end of 10 years, nothing else was done with my loans, and I just ended up paying you $800, and now my loans have like more than quadrupled in size, and now I owe them more money because I thought you handled it, right? So I had to make up my mind going in that this must be too good to be true, because usually it is. You have to know before you go, before you have opposition, because it's very easy for something I try to make sure we never do during our Right the Ship series where we talk about love, sex, and dating. And we get to the part where it's like, there's some people in the room who are like, oh yeah, I love Jesus because I'm a virgin, Pastor Josh. I'm like, that's great, but are you a virgin by choice, student Tim, right? So it's like, are you making this decision? Or have the girls in your life helped you make this uninformed decision? So if you had the opportunity, then there would be opposition, and I would then wonder, who is your king, or have you now made yourself a queen to govern your body, right? So you have to know before the opposition comes. So Jesus said, hey, it's been written. I'm going to quote you scripture that I already know, I'm aware of, and I'm prepared for this situation. So one last time, before you go, and be honest with yourself. Who or what is your king? And I'm not even going to say, here's what your answer better be. I want you to think about that and ponder that. Anytime you ever see a chess piece and then hit the clock, that's really cool to me. I want to do that, but I don't know where all these pieces go. I'll just be over there, clack, 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 your turn, right? That'd be me. Like, this is an awesome thing. But you have to know the rules that you're playing with. Otherwise, you'll get to a new place, a new school, and you'll be up for anyone else's rules and let their rules govern your body and your behavior and your beliefs, all because you never established who your king is. And just like you read in the Old Testament, you'll start finding all these other kings and gods to worship, not realizing those are kings and gods you're worshiping. So before you go, answer that question so that when you get there, you can show, share, and tell your answer to everyone around you who your king is. Let me pray for us. Hey, I'm Josh Carter. Thank you so much for stopping by to view this message. If your next step is to receive Christ as your Lord and Savior, we are so excited for you, and we want to help you take that next step. So jump in the description and click those links to find out what following Jesus is all about, what that means, and of course, what's next. And if your next step is baptism, we would love to schedule that for you. So just go to CrossPointe.church, select next steps, and get baptized. and fill out that application, and we will schedule that day with you. So super excited for you. But again, thank you so much for viewing this week's message. Have a great day, and God bless.